The FOMC meeting minutes have been released, and a lot of people have their own, perspectives about it and how they're analyzing it. There's some big things to discuss. If you are obviously an XRP holder, you do want to watch this video till the end, and make sure you are subscribed to the channel and hit that bell icon so you're notified every time we make these updates. So you can see what Nate says. Latest FOMC minutes show Fed discussed stablecoins during the July meeting. That's right, stablecoins, quote unquote, payment stablecoins could help improve the efficiency of the payment system. And we know that 360 shift that we're seeing coming into stablecoin market after the Genius Act being passed. You're talking about a huge chunk of interest coming into stablecoin industry, and I think RLUSD is shaped for a lot of success based off of all the demand that's coming. We're going to talk a little bit more on that, but let's continue to take a look at what's happening with the markets. Amazing day today. Wednesday, as far as this week is concerned, today is the best day for the crypto markets for this whole week. You can see, we're seeing quite a bit of green across the market right now, and I'm sure no one is really complaining as of now. As far as XRP's price is concerned, XRP is up 2.5% in USD, up 1.2% in Bitcoin comparative, price at $2.97, valuation 176.2 billion, and the 24-hour trading volume at about $7.1 billion. But as always, just a quick disclaimer, anything on this channel is not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence and research when you are investing in crypto. During times of uncertainty, during times of shakeouts, people tend to forget, what has been happening for this crypto space. But your boy Crypto ZX tries to remind you, to take a look at the bigger picture, see how far the market has come, and look at what billionaire Bill Miller says. Billionaire Bill Miller says 1% of the 60 trillion in global retirement accounts, the 401ks, could add $30,000 to Bitcoin price. And sorry, it's global. So the 60 trillion, not just within the 401ks, we're talking about globally. And he's just talking about 1%. Sees as a 2% allocation as conservative. So pretty much saying, out of that 60 trillion, right now, that money cannot be going into an allocation of crypto. So that $60 trillion, 1% of that, if it were to come into Bitcoin alone, that would mean a 30% increase for the price of Bitcoin. And we've been hearing about how, President Trump wants, the 401ks, to be allowed to get exposure to the crypto markets. And this is where, that capital could flow in. That capital that hasn't really touched yet to the crypto space. I think it's going to flow into, solid projects. They're not just going to go into random coins that have no use case, coins that have built up credibility for themselves, that have built up a name for themselves. Most importantly, that's what I'm trying to say, a name, an image for themselves, and that have proven their track record. And with the way we're seeing the ETFs going, if we do see an ETF going live for XRP, that could mean exposure coming towards XRP as well. So very, very interesting things. But speaking about the meeting minutes coming out from the Fed meeting, you can see CME now puts the chance of September rate cut at 85%. So it has decreased from about 95% down about 10% right now. And that is obviously due to the numbers. Minutes were showing like most members are seeing inflation risks outweighing job risks, which of course means a little bit of a hiccup in terms of the the probability of the rate cut happening. But still, we're still sitting at 85%. I still think we're going to see that rate cut due to the CPI numbers that came out. I'm still projecting that. Obviously, time is going to tell. I personally think if there is no rate cut in September, we are going to see a major shakeout for the crypto space if it were not to happen, because now the market is kind of expecting September to be the month. And I would expect, I'm very confident we'll see that happening. It just wouldn't make sense if we don't even see a 0.25 BPS a rate cut. That's like about 0.25. We need to see at least a 0.25, to give people relief. People need some sort of a relief. Aside from, money coming into the crypto space, that's just like the organic thing that happens. People have more money that, they could, look into other avenues. That could mean crypto, that could mean stock market or elsewhere, like even savings. but it needs to happen. If it doesn't, I think we do see a big retracement in the month of September. That's what I'm personally projecting if we don't see a rate cut. So of course, let me know in the comments down below what you guys personally think about that as well. Do you guys agree with that or not? But take a look at this. Bitcoin demand has fallen sharply with inflows down to 59K Bitcoin and ETFs, at about a 4-month low. Why is this the case? Look at what Maxwell says. Very nicely put. So path of Altseason. Phase 1 is Bitcoin. Phase 2 is Ethereum. And Ethereum over the last 2 months has seen record amounts of inflows coming in for its ETF. You can see Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin, and we hear talks about the flipping. And, that's exactly what's happening right now. Not about, Ethereum flipping Bitcoin, which will never happen. I know some Ethereum fanboys are going to be getting mad at that, but that's the reality. No one is going to take over Bitcoin. Bitcoin's always going to be the king of the market, but Ethereum is gaining a lot of exposure. That does tend to bring in a lot of eyes. And then, of course, phase 3 is Ethereum has been outperforming Bitcoin in large caps and are going parabolic. And then that Altseason, which, of course, everything pretty much seems to go up. And that's a hint of that we did see last year. We saw that in Q4 when Donald Trump became the president of the US, but Ethereum did not get the recognition and the amount of inflows that it's seeing right now. So this is replicating what we have seen in the past cycles for ETH, and I am projecting that we will see some excitement coming in the very near future. Fear and greed index is going into the fear zone because, of course, we're coming out of a retracement. The overall market is in fear. And in terms of a dollar cost average perspective, I'm sure you know that there's a famous saying: be greedy while others are fearful, be fearful while others are greedy. The people that are being greedy right now, dollar cost averaging in, they are getting a discount, of course, compared to where we were last month. But take a look at this. Jack McDonald says RLUSD on XRPL is only becoming more integrated in traditional financial rails from its usage as a good collateral to cross-border settlements, and now for the first time as IPO proceeds payment. Even before the Genius Act passed, RLUSD was repeatedly recognized across both crypto and TradeFi as a gold standard in compliance, and now the floodgates are opening. Watch this space. Exactly what I said at the beginning of this update. You're seeing RLUSD really taken over, and it's going to take a huge chunk of the stablecoin supply, in my opinion, based off of the thing that's happening. And it's quite new. It's in terms of its market presence, it's still quite new. It has a long ways to go. But with the clarity behind itself, I think it puts itself up against a lot of its competitors. And look at this, just in August 19th, 2025, remember, Wisdom Tree calls XRP the tactical onshore play for institutional portfolios. XRP equals documented as a top focus for sophisticated investors. And this is, of course, coming out from Wisdom Tree themselves. And take a look at this. Goldman Sachs predicts stablecoin market could reach trillions of dollars. So Goldman Sachs believes the current stablecoin market is in its early stage, projecting its potential growth into the trillions. I totally agree. I know a lot of people are going to come out and say, well, USDT has been existing for such a long time. But what a lot of people are going to forget is, in terms of an institutional interest demand coming in for stablecoins, companies even, not just institutions, we're talking about major corporations around the globe that want to launch their own stablecoin or use stablecoins for payment methods, because obviously settlement instantly, the use of blockchain. And then guess what? This was never the case before. But with the clarity coming in towards the industry, giving the green light to these companies and institutions to take part of this or launch their own stablecoins, this is where that shift is really taking place. The report highlights vast opportunity for stablecoins in the payment sector, citing a recent study from Visa. Notably, Visa claimed that the global payment market boosts an annual volume of $240 trillion. So the rationale is that if stablecoins capture even a small share of global payments, their market value could expand into trillions of dollars. And I want you guys to take a look at the XRPL ledger here. We're seeing over the last 30 days, in terms of RWA increase, about 23.5% on the XRPL ledger. And as far as stablecoin market cap, up almost 52%, guys. Almost 52%. This is insane amount of record growth that we're seeing on the XRPL ledger. But now let's take a look at what's happening with the price of XRP. Dominance saw a sharp decline this morning. Amazing to see, of course, exactly what you want to see happening. And again, I'm not surprised. I was talking to you guys about how we were still remaining within this accumulation pattern for the dominance, and it speaks for itself. If you're looking at Bitcoin, on the other hand, you can see that Bitcoin is seeing a little bit of a bounce right now. We did reclaim back above $114,000, but we're not out of the woods yet. We're not in the safe zone. Safe zone is above 115. If we're not at the 115 at the least, then the door is still open for us to retest some of the lower levels still. XRP, on the other hand, making a very, very nice push towards the upside, came up to $2.99, just below the $3 price point. But look at how fast this recovery really is. We're talking about an increase of about 6.1%, and I have no doubts that XRP will reclaim back above the psychological $3 level quite fast, because we are very close to it. But right now, Bitcoin did see a little bit of a retracement, as you can see across the board, which has caused XRP to also retrace a little bit. But so far, so good. Continue to show how good XRP is holding within the 23.6, and this is something we don't want to be forgetting. Love you all. Thank you for all your support. We'll see you later in Crypto ZX, and peace out.